Sir, you can start.
Okay. Uh, Thank you, Shivkumar. Thank you, everybody. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to join this forum. Mr. Shivkumar has taken a lot of efforts to, bring a lot of farmers to this kind of platform, Organic Karnataka Farmers Association, and he is trying to give a lot of information on various agricultural practices that would improve the livelihood of farmers. So he has asked me to share my experience and my observations in agriculture. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Dorai Raj. I passed agricultural degree in the year 1968, almost now about 54, 55 years back, right? Uh, 68 means that is 32 plus 36, 56 years back. I passed out and then joined the Department of Agriculture in Tamil Nadu, worked for 3 years as agricultural officer. And then for 30 years, I was working as a marketing officer in a Tata company, Rallis India Limited. And I was selling chemical fertilizers, fertilizers, pesticides, seeds, and hormones and all that. That's for about 30 years. I worked there and I became the vice president of the Tata company in Bombay. And then I took a voluntary retirement and then came to Bangalore and settled down here. And I started an organic certification agency at that time. In 2002, I started, that is about 23 years back, I started organic certification agency where Shivakumar also joined me at that time as an organic expert and inspector and certification officer. And we were traveling all over India, watching the progress of organic agriculture everywhere and giving certification in the states of Assam, Maharashtra, Hyderabad, sorry, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and various other places. In the last over 5 decades, I have seen the agriculture going through various phases. You know, in the initial years, in the 70s and all that, we were totally dependent on imported fertilizers from US and various other countries. At that time, we were short of food supply. We were having only about, in the initial years, in the 60s and all that, we were only about 35 crore people. And whatever we produced, even that was not sufficient to feed that 35 or 38 crore people. Today, we are 140 crore people. We have grown up, in large strength. And when 140 million hectares, the land is almost the same, but the productivity of the land has improved a lot in the last 50 years. Due to the different kinds of seeds, improved varieties, hybrid varieties, and then improved water facilities, dams and other things have been built, and then a lot of area has been brought under agriculture, particularly irrigated agriculture. In irrigated agriculture, you always get a better yield. So yield also has improved, and today we have more than 300 million tons of food production, whereas 50 years back we were doing only about 50 or 55 million tons. So in food production we have improved a lot. In agriculture we have passed through various stages and we have achieved quite a fantastic improvement. But still, in the growth period, we have also done a lot of mistakes, and because of that, today our agriculture has become more unsustainable. What is this word unsustainable? Sustainability means what? Sustainability means to live within our means. If you are able to, spend about 10,000 rupees on agriculture, you should be able to get about 15,000, 20,000 or something like that. Then only agriculture will be profitable. Suppose if you are spending 10,000 rupees and if you are getting only 7,000 or 8,000 rupees in a year, it is not sustainable. That means you are not meeting your requirement from whatever you are investing in agriculture. That is where sustainability comes. We have to be sustainable in agriculture. For that, what is that we should do? That's what we have to discuss a little bit. We have started using hybrid varieties, and we are using huge amount of chemical fertilizers and quite a number of pesticide sprays we are doing in our crops. All these things are costing money. And apart from that, the labor cost has gone up very heavy. Those days, you just pay about 50 rupees or 60 rupees, you can get a labor in 50 years back or 40 years back. But today, not even 50, those days about 10 rupees, 20 rupees, you will get labor. Today, even 300 rupees, 350 rupees, you are not able to find labor in most of the places because urbanization has taken over more laborers. People have moved to urban cities, and then the rural labor shortage has come up. And the demand for various things also has increased, and people want more money to meet their own personal expenses. So the cost of labor also has increased, cost of fertilizer has increased, cost of pesticides has increased, seed, everything is increasing. But what the farmer produces for his produce, there is not much of remunerative price. Whatever he gets, he is not able to meet all the expenses. That is called unsustainability. Today, rich farmers can afford to spend any amount of money, and they can make up from other sectors of their economic activity. Whereas poor farmers in the villages, they totally depend on agriculture, and they have to spend only out of the produce they sell from their land. So one way we want to increase production. But even if you increase production, that is not going to solve the problem. You have seen how tomatoes, for example, in Kolar and all that, where you go, Srinivasapura, they grow huge amount of tomatoes per acre. But increasing the yield alone is not going to satisfy their need. If you increase the yield, the price drops. Price drops to about, the farmer is going to sell at 2 rupees, 3 rupees or 5 rupees per kg to wholesalers. So then again, he is not getting his requirement. Again, agriculture is unsustainable here. So this one alone, sorry. If you think increasing yield alone is a solution, that is not the solution. Yield increase alone is not this thing, but there are many other things we have to look into. There are certain things under our control. There are certain things which is not under our control. What is under our control? The cost of cultivation is under our control. But the price what we get in the market is not in our control. So whatever the market says, you have to sell your produce at that price only. But cost of cultivation, you can reduce if you use your discretion and then reduce your expenses as far as possible. So sustainable agriculture means not spending lavishly, not spending unwanted things for unwanted things. So these are the things which we must look into. So if you look at the seeds, what are the seeds that are sustainable? The seeds that are normally the crops that are grown locally are the most sustainable crops. If you are getting some fashionable crops from Russia or Japan or somewhere else and all that, and if you are introducing into your area, you are not going to, grow them very well, because the crop has to adapt to your soil and your temperature and your weather conditions and all that. Many people who introduce new crops, they suffer a lot. So those people who are growing ragi or whatever it is for thousands of years in Karnataka, they have not got any problem. Whereas if they are bringing some exotic crops, and they have found it is very difficult for them to maintain the crop. So seed is one thing which one has to be very careful, that they should always try to grow crops that are adaptable to your village, your weather, your soil, and for your culture. So seed is one thing which you have to be very careful. But then whether you can use hybrid and all that, or high yielding varieties, it is okay. You can use those things. It may demand a little bit more of nutrients and all that. For that, you have to do some kind of agronomic practices where you can improve the soil fertility and manage your crop. But in seed selection, genetically engineered seeds, GMO seeds, they say, genetically modified seeds. In India today, it is only cotton that has got GMO cotton, genetically modified. It is not originally nature created cotton. The cotton gene has been meddled with. Transgenic, operation they have done, and they have changed the genes quality just to save the crop from pests and diseases. Monsanto has introduced this crop about 10, 15 years back, and now it has occupied the whole of the cotton growing belt, most of the area. If you take about 12 million hectares of cotton in India, almost about 98% of that area is now occupied by GMO cotton. Cotton, it is okay, it is non-food crop. But in food crops, one has to be very careful because people who are very conversant with the GMO and all that, what they say is, it is producing some unexpected results in the nature, because it is creating some kind of diseases. Some varieties are polluting the native varieties, and then they become super weeds. And there are quite a number of reasons some of the organic farmers are enumerating to prevent, genetically modified seeds. So that is a separate subject which we can talk in a separate session. Leaving genetically modified seed, all other seeds are okay. That is native seeds or improved varieties which are released by the Department of Agriculture and all that. And high yielding varieties are also okay. But hybrid also is okay. But GMO has to be avoided. Next comes nutrition for the crops. This is another thing which is under your control. You can either buy chemical fertilizers from the shops and then apply to the crops, or you can improve the fertility of your soil by growing some green manure crops and other organic practices which you can practice and then improve the soil fertility. That way, you can avoid spending huge amount of money on chemical fertilizers. Chemical fertilizers have become very costly nowadays. For example, 4 or 5 years back, one bag of DAP was costing 700 rupees. Today, it is almost about 1,600, 1,700 rupees, one bag. In 4 or 5 years, it has more than doubled. Potash also, muriate of potash fertilizer was also, it has also doubled recently. And then these are all unsustainable practices. So if you don't apply chemical fertilizers, what else we should apply? In what way we can manage crop nutrition? That is what we may ask. Think of about 50, 60 years back. Our parents and grandparents, they were growing crops, the same kind of crops, and they were also getting yield. How were they getting yield? Even without applying a single grain of chemical fertilizer, they were growing because the nutrition is there in the soil. It is already there. And what is the difference between today and 50 years back? Difference is that today's crop are more hungry. They need more nutrition. So we have started depending on chemical fertilizers to quickly feed the crop and harvest it. But those days, what we were getting per acre of yield, maybe about, if it is a paddy, those days we were getting about 20 bags of paddy or something like that. Today we get 40 bags or 50 bags and all that. So to increase that kind of thing, we have gone into chemical fertilizers. But scientists have found out that if you increase the fertility of your soil, you may be able to meet the crop nutrition requirements in the same way. How did those farmers 50 years back, they were managing the soil? First, what they were doing is they were also having integrated farming. They were not just having monocropping like ragi or paddy or vegetables or something like that. They were also having cattle, they were having poultry, and various other animals were living in the farm, and all the cow dung and various other things, plus all farm residues. They were all collected and they composted it or they heaped it and brought back at the time of sowing. Before sowing, they will apply all those manure, all the animal waste, plant waste, all those things were put into the soil. They plowed it and they enriched the soil. And then they have planted the seed. It has started yielding the crop. That's how they were done. And in what way this is giving nutrition to the soil, you may ask. Cow dung is one which is having huge amount of microbes called bacteria. Nitrogen fixing bacteria and various other things are there in cow dung. And in the soil, all the nutrients what you require for the plants are there in the soil, but the plant cannot take it directly. The plant requires bacteria to convert that nutrient in the soil and give it to the plant roots. Unless and until the bacteria is active, the soil nutrient will not be available to the roots. I will tell you one example. When you are hungry, if I just bring a plate of food grains, pulses, oil, chili powder, salt, everything in a loose manner, and then give you take food, you will not be able to consume that as lunch or dinner. It has to be properly cooked. Then only you will be able to digest it, and that will be taken into our system. In the same way, soil has got all kinds of nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, everything is there. But most of it is available in unavailable form. The bacteria in the soil, it dissolves that and brings it to the root system. Why it should do that? Bacteria gets its own food from the plant roots. It takes the nutrition from plant roots and then it feeds the root from the soil particles. They bring all the nutrients and feed it. That's how the soil system is working. But if you apply huge amount of chemical fertilizers, you are first destroying the microbial system in the soil. All the microbes like bacteria, fungus and all that, they are all dying. And you have to totally depend on only chemical fertilizers from the shop. So that is first problem. When you apply chemical fertilizers, you may be giving a dissolved nutrient to the plant, but at the same time, you are also spoiling the natural bacteria, which is giving nutrition in the normal way. So if you just leave it like that without much of chemical fertilizers, or by limiting the chemical fertilizer application, maybe you will allow the bacteria to thrive, and then they will also give food to the plant, and you will also be adding some chemical fertilizers in a small quantity. That way it will be a sustainable way, instead of dumping the soil with a huge amount of chemical fertilizers. Chemical fertilizer also has got certain rules. You have to apply only certain ratio of fertilizers to the crops. For example, if you are applying nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash, if potash is 1 kg, phosphorus is 2 kg, and nitrogen is 4 kg. 4 to 1 is the ratio. Or 40 kg of urea, 20 kg of phosphorus, and 10 kg of potash, like that. 4 to 1 is the normal ratio. If you are giving fertilizers in that ratio, it is called balanced fertilizer. Balanced fertilizer is good for the crop. But today, because certain fertilizers are available at a cheap rate, for example, urea in India is available at a very cheap rate, because all over the world, the urea price today is about $300 US. That is almost about 25,000 to 30,000 rupees 1 ton. Whereas in India, government of India is giving to the farmers at 5,250 rupees. There is 25,000, 30,000. Where is 5,000 and odd? Why government is giving like that? So that farmers can produce more food and all that. For that, not now. It has been being given from 1968 onwards. Lal Bahadur Shastri, when he was Prime Minister of India, at that time he brought that scheme of subsidizing chemical fertilizers. And from that time onwards, we have been giving chemical fertilizers on subsidy. Not only urea, diammonium phosphate, potash, and complexes, all fertilizers are given subsidy. And all the subsidy amount today is costing about 1,50,000 crore, 1.5 lakh crore, or 1.5 trillion rupees. That much of amount is going out of the central government treasury for subsidizing fertilizer alone. Apart from that, farmers are also spending money to buy fertilizers, and all this money are going where? To the suppliers of raw materials of chemical fertilizers. Chemical fertilizers require some raw materials. For example, urea production. Urea, where do we produce? Urea contains what? Nitrogen, 46% nitrogen. Nitrogen is freely available in the air. In the earlier stage, the bacteria in the soil was taking the nitrogen from the air and feeding it to the root. Today, we are going and buying this urea in the market. This urea is produced from same air only, but to crystallize that air into nitrogen, you need some kind of fuel. That fuel is natural oil. Petroleum oils which are imported from Middle East countries, Russia, and all these countries. So we are buying huge amount of petroleum products. We burn them, and then we grasp all the atmospheric nitrogen and crystallize them as urea or ammonium sulfate and various other fertilizers. For the energy, we are spending huge amount of money. That money, 80% of the fertilizer cost is only on raw material only. And most of the raw materials are not available in India. We are importing chemical fertilizer, urea. Although the raw material, basic raw material is nitrogen, to produce that, we require the secondary element, that is the petroleum oil and all that. That we are importing and we are spending money. Phosphorus, if you take, we don't have much phosphorus. Very little is available in Rajasthan in rock phosphate and all that. That is not sufficient to make our diammonium phosphate and complexes. We are importing from the USA, from Florida, and from North Africa, and China and various other countries. All the phosphoric acid is imported, and we are mixing it with our other nitrogen fertilizers and making complexes and all that. Huge amount of money is going out of this country for phosphates. The potash, if you say, there is no potash available in India. There is not a single gram of potash is available in our mines or whatever it is. Entirely it is coming from Russia, Ukraine, Jordan, and Canada, and various other places. So all these chemical fertilizers are very expensive material. We are spending money on these kind of expensive things. Instead of spending on these things, why not we improve our soil by using our natural methods improve the soil fertility, increase the soil bacteria and fungus by applying green manures. For that, all you have to do is just to sow about 30 kg of daincha seed or Susbania seed or Filipesera. These kind of green manure seeds are available in the agriculture depots and all, or you can grow and save it for the next crop. And this kind of thing will add about 20 kg of nitrogen per acre. And that is one thing. Next thing is, instead of going for monocropping, go for mixed cropping. If you are growing only maize crop, it takes away all the nutrients from the soil, and soil becomes, nutrition level is reduced year after year. But if you are also growing along with that some pulses like tur dal or green gram or black gram or other things also, 1 row or 2 rows or something like that for every 1 row of the same, that will add nitrogen to the soil. So one crop is taking this nitrogen, the other one is adding the nitrogen. So it will be balanced at that time. So your soil will not be, become barren. So that kind of mixed cultivation has to be done. That is another thing. And then also you must have integrated farming of having cows and poultry and all that in the farm, so that their excreta can be added to the soil and enrich them with nitrogen, phosphorus, potash, and all that. So one avoidable thing is chemical fertilizer. If you can completely take away the chemical and use only natural methods, that's the best. If you cannot do that, at least balance it in such a way that you don't spend more on heavy cost chemical fertilizers. Try to understand what are the natural methods of enriching soil and use that method. Next comes pest. Pest problem is becoming a huge problem. Some of the crops, about 50% of the crop yield is taken away by pest. Now it's a mango season. If you just go to the mango gardens, you will find all mango hoppers sucking all the sap of the crop. And then little later, you will find all the borers, fruit borers and all that. This kind of things are coming heavily because everybody is using chemical pesticide to control. Yes, chemical pesticide immediately kills the insect. There is no doubt about that. But the danger behind that is you are also adding some toxic residue on the food item. When you eat, you are also consuming that. When you are consuming the toxic food, it goes and deposits in your system, in your intestine, in your kidney, in your pancreas and all that. Several diseases are coming afterwards and people are suffering. That is not immediately affecting. After 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, people, when they lose their balance, at that time only they will find that they've got cancer, they've got this thing. In my family alone, my wife got cancer. I don't know why. We are taking good food here, but in spite of it, what food we buy from the market, we cannot guarantee. I have seen the kind of cruel method of treating vegetables and fruits in the market. 20 years back or 30 years back, I think. I was a salesperson in Tata, this thing, pesticide we were selling. We were going to say pesticide markets and all that. One evening when I went to an auction center, vegetable auction center, cabbages are being auctioned. That a contractor has bought 1 truckload of cabbage, and then he has ordered all his laborers to treat that cabbage before loading into the truck. What he is doing is he has taken a barrel, 200-liter barrel of water. Those days, polydol is a very poisonous chemical pesticide we used to, it's available in the market. A Bayer company used to sell that, Parathion. That Parathion chemical, 250 ml in 200-liter water, you will dissolve, and then the laborers will take each cabbage, dip it into that, and then load it into the truck. Everything, what 10 laborers will come and dip and do. Why do they do that? Because cabbage has got that caterpillar on that top. when it goes to the market to Bombay or Cochin or somewhere, on the way, these caterpillars nibble that, and then, some damages are made, and they get a lower price in the market. So to avoid that, to get a better price, these people did that kind of cruel thing. Next day it is going to be used as a